Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Queenie. For those who don't know me, reviewing Love is Blind France season 1 episode 10, The Reunion. Before I get into it, please make sure to like this video, subscribe and hit the bell, and leave a comment down below. It is very loveless in France. Aren't y'all supposed to be the place of love? What the heck is going on? Between France and Denver, I'm just, Love is Blind. What is going on? It's giving very loveless. Oh. Anyways, let's get into this reunion. So we're going to start with Charles and Julie. They are sitting next to each other. So you would assume like, okay, maybe things aren't that bad. As soon as that footage from the show starts playing, you could see that she in particular is annoyed. So we come to find out that they've been separated for 9 months. And I think it's been 9 months. No, 8 months. They've been separated for 8 months because a month after she moved into his place, he put her out. Now, they disagree on whether or not she was put out. She says, yes, you kicked me out. He says, I said you could leave whenever. Okay. He said that he needed air and space and claims that just because he needed space doesn't mean that he was trying to end the relationship. He also says that he was losing himself in the marriage and that's why he needed some space. I could have sworn I said in the pods, this man gives me non-committal. And I have a problem with that. I felt like he was a hobosexual because he did that in his last relationship. He was with her for however many years because he was filling the void after he lost his mother. And then things ended on his account. And now again, you already crossed the threshold of marriage and now I don't feel like I'm myself anymore. Okay. I also did have a problem though with Julie romancing the fact that they were both injured baby birds. She was connecting a lot of their traumas together and I was thinking that's not good enough. I don't even think that's necessarily good at all. But you needed to find more about this man to want to commit to because from the beginning, I wasn't really sure on him. They convinced me over time, but even throughout the process, there were issues that he had with her that he didn't want to point out, right? So he says things are very intense with her. She's very passionate. And she agrees. She's like, yeah, I am that way. I am very intense, but that's me. And I do agree that that is who she is. She was like that when they were talking about the roommates discrepancies kind of thing, like she wouldn't clean up or whatever. And then when they talked about it at the restaurants, she was getting very like agitated with him. And he says, this is the issue that I have with you. You get disrespectful and defensive whenever you feel like your back is against the wall. From there, you knew that that was a trait of hers, but you proceeded anyways. And now you're citing that as one of the reasons why things aren't going to work with y'all too. He says he needs somebody who is more gentle and respectful. I do believe that Julie can get disrespectful with him. You could see little pockets of that on the reunion where she was ready to cut him verbally. And I'm sure that he was not wanting to deal with any of that. Julie lists her own reasons why things were not going to work out. She says that he was not applying himself into the marriage. She says that he was requiring her to prove her worth to him, which is wild. And 4 days after the wedding, he was talking to other women. Now that's the biggest one to me. I don't know why we didn't focus more on that. But anyways, he clearly was not ready to get married. I think that she is the type to stay and fight no matter what. And he's the type to not want to fight no matter what. So yeah, she says that she still loves him. She kept her ring on. She kept it and kept it on in hopes that he would apologize. Mind you, they've been separated for 8 months. In hopes that he would apologize. And he says, you know what? And as much as I do miss the memories, I don't miss the relationship that we had. There was enough for me to say, this is not a good fit for me. So I'm going to go my own way. She said that she tried calling him for days, but ultimately the relationship ended in a text. And this is now the only time that she's now hearing any semblance of an apology. It doesn't sound like either of them are with anyone right now. And that's probably for the best because for Julie, it seems like the feelings are still right under the surface for her. Kim and Thomas are next. They spent a lot of time showing us how different they were on the show, as if we don't already know, child. I don't know. The reunion actually did well. I don't think that they wasted my time, but I just didn't want to rehash how different they were. Like, that is very clear. You could even see it looking at them on the stage, right? So basically, Thomas comes to Kim's defense and he's like, listen, she's not as stuck up, arrogant, snooty as the internet believes. There are moments where she's very empathetic and people just didn't get to see that, but I got to experience it in real life. They are obviously not together, but they do keep in contact quite a bit. Even their families are in contact with each other. He says that she was a comfort for him when he lost his mother. And so there's no way that he's going to remove that kind of relationship from his life. They are clearly friends. This group in particular, though, is very irritating to me because there were things in the pods that a lot of people were glossing over. And then they're going to cite those same things as the reasons why the relationship doesn't work out, you know? The differences being one of them. They pointed out in the beginning that they were so different in the pods, but fine. I still believe that most of these women stayed in the pods because they were motivated by competition. And Kim absolutely wanted to win. And in a way, she kind of did. Kim is asked about Clement, and they did go on an official date on the outside. However, she says he's a very intelligent man. He's just not prepared for marriage, right? He does co-sign that the date was fun, but the pods were the least intense part about dating, and dating on the outside was a lot more serious than he thought it would be. So yeah, maybe he is not ready for a relationship. The experiment was going to end in marriage. Like, come on. Oh my gosh. The experiment was going to end in marriage, and you think dating is intense. All right. Next is Tatiana and Yannick. They are on opposite sides of the room, so obviously you can tell that they are still not on good terms. I have a lot of notes about them, so let's lock in, okay? So they are both trying very hard not to have a reaction when they're watching back the footage. They did kind of break character as the footage kept going, so I was like, okay, maybe there's still some, not feelings as in like I want to pursue things with you, but just that tenderness of, okay, we did actually have something beautiful, right? And Yannick even says that. He says, what we had was incredible. It's just unfortunate that things didn't work out. Tatiana says that she was overwhelmed with all that came with being a mom, an entrepreneur, and now being a fiance. And so when she wanted help from Yannick to kind of give her that emotional support, he faltered. He wasn't able to show up for her in the way that she needed her partner to show up for her. But then she says that she blames herself because typically she does handle things on her own, and it was her own fault to put her trust in somebody else. Now, I do understand what she's trying to say, but I think that it's a backhanded thing for her to be like, oh, well, I should have just handled it on my own the way that I always do. Maybe that's why Yannick couldn't show up for you, because there were times where you wouldn't let him show up for you. And there's examples of that when he starts to talk. We'll get there. But she's very guarded and she doesn't realize it. And she keeps thinking the only reason why dating is so hard for her is because she's a mom and she's in her 40s now and she's been divorced. Like, that's no. There's so much baggage, and Yannick points that out too. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, Yannick came across very well to me. I know a lot of people take Tatiana's side. Y'all can go ahead and do that if you want to. But for me, Yannick made a lot of solid points, and honestly, I understood him. He said, we are a mature couple, right? We come with a lot of emotional baggage, and I think we underestimated how much of a part that was going to play in our relationship. I do think Tatiana came in with a lot of emotional baggage specifically. I know people want to say that, you know, her being divorced and her having a kid and stuff is baggage, but you can tell that there are wounds there that she was expecting Yannick to heal, and because he didn't heal those, she grouped him in with every guy in the past. That's what it gave to me, right? So she says that she had certain constraints in her life that she could not change. So Yannick feeling like everything was being forced onto him was unfair. And I do agree. Like, she is a working woman. She is a mother. Life be lifing. So yeah, you're asking her to change some things that just aren't changeable at this time, right? She then admits that in the pods, she did not focus on compatibility enough. She was basically going with vibes. He agrees. He says that he only really started to ask her the deep questions once they were in Morocco. Baby, it's too late. It's too late. Them pods, when you're there for 7, 8, 9 hours, at least that's what the Americans say, that's the time where you ask the deep questions. And I kept saying, I felt like these two were just trying to prove something, like, oh, black love exists, guys. But it's like, okay, black love or otherwise, does the relationship itself make sense? And this relationship didn't make sense. It doesn't matter that you're both black and you're both in love. Are you compatible at the end of the day? Like, what? Anyways, what else happened here? He then starts to explain when things went wrong for him. He starts to say that he's the type who needed to kind of tally up what her needs were, right? And she immediately interjects and she says, I'm not here for theory. I'm here for actions. So you're saying you would have showed up for my needs, but I needed you to actually do it. Well, he was also trying to take inventory of what your needs were, and you weren't even letting him do that. You know, oftentimes she would overspeak him, and it was annoying to watch because he would give her the courtesy of letting her flesh out all of her thoughts. He never interrupted her. She always interrupted him. And that alone would have been enough for me to be like, okay, that's enough. You can go, right? So she says that, yes, I cry. I'm passionate. I get angry. And basically she's saying that's who I am and I'm not going to apologize for it. That's probably the reason why you be struggling in dating. Okay. He says, I don't even fault you for being as intense as you are. I just was not here for fighting every single day. Like, that's just not for me. And yeah, her whole thing is, well, if you can't stay and fight, then why are you in this relationship? She glosses over a lot of her problematic behavior. Hell, she even looks around at the audience as if she was going to get some kind of affirmation of her behavior from them. She got it from her mother. Her mother is also like, well, if you can't stay and fight, then what are we even doing here? Oh my gosh. They are so problematic and they don't even realize. I'm not trying to absolve Yannick either. I do think parts of him were very obtuse because you knew that you were dealing with a mature woman, a divorced woman, a mother, an entrepreneur, and what that could potentially come with. He did not properly assess the situation and found himself in some doo-doo, okay? That part is for sure. Yannick says he learned that it's easy to fall in love, but it is hard to be in love, which is real. Those are two different things. Love is an action, and it seems like they were not ready to take that action. She says that she is going to stay single until she can find somebody who understands her. I hope that as she's waiting, she's also doing the work that is required to now show up for somebody and be able to understand them. Because it sounds to me that she is very self-serving and she wants people to cater to her. She's not yet able to do the same for others. That's based on what I was presented from the show. Then we get to see Galien. He's brought on the stage and he talks about why he was kicked off the show. He says that he got to a point where the process was just so intense and he was planning to leave anyways. Just when he was about to make that decision, he was kicked off. Okay. He also says that, yes, he did find somebody interesting outside of the show, but he still stands by the fact that he did not break the rules. It seems like the hosts are co-signing that he did not break the rules. I don't know, but he says the rest is history with whoever he was dealing with. So I assume they're probably together and he just doesn't want to throw dirt on the situation, but moving on. Sarah then joins and she says life post the show has been really good. You know, she might regret maybe one or two things that she said, but at the end of the day, she wasn't being mean. She was being true to herself, and she can't be mad at herself for being who she is. Okay. We also have Kim, who is more apologetic, especially to Charles. She says, listen, I should not have said those things about you and your physicality and stuff. Listen, you're so cute. Look at you with your blonde hair and your blue eyes and your squishy little face. Guys, he's so cute. He's so cute, guys. That was so odd. So odd. She just kept going on and on and on about how cute he is. Okay, girl. She said she did apologize to Charles a few times in person, so they have spoken about it. Then Sabrina chimes in and she says that she apologizes as well. She did say some things regarding Charles's appearance, but she never questioned his decision in choosing Julie over Sarah. She had some comments regarding Sarah, like, how could you do Sarah that way? But not necessarily that you shouldn't have chosen Julie, you know? I felt like they did not address Julie enough for me because what she went through was also hurtful. Maybe, yes, their comments were more geared towards Charles, but they were also questioning her, like, what did they, like, they wanted her to justify things. You know what? I'll give grace to Sabrina and Kim because they were going in more on Charles and they did apologize for that. Sarah, could have addressed Julie. Sarah could have addressed Julie, but honestly, the way that Julie was so unapologetic to begin with, I don't think she was ever going to say she's sorry. But yeah, it sucks. You could see Julie was still very hurt by that whole experience. Julie is just hurt, okay? The girl isn't paying. Next was Cynthia and Jonathan. They are obviously looking back at the footage where she clearly wanted to get him back. She was giggling. He was not trying to break character, and later on we do kind of see why. Cynthia says that she was able to get back in his good graces. They were talking on the phone for a little bit, but she decided that they just weren't going to be compatible. This is like the third time that y'all had this realization, but okay. He says that he's not going to challenge whatever she's saying because what she felt was what she felt. Her experience was her experience. He does, though, want to make it clear that they both had a part to play in the demise of their relationship, even dating back to Morocco. So he says it's not just the whole height difference thing. It's how she treated me in that conversation. It's how she treated me in Morocco. He also says that they were fighting constantly over the phone. And that was another reason why he was like, you know what? I cannot proceed with this relationship. He says that, well, the reason why he was trying to make it clear that they both had a part to play was because it sounded like Cynthia was trying to say that I am a great person and I've worked on myself for a long time over the past few years, but being with this man brought characteristics out of me that I've tried so hard to change. And he was like, let's not do that. He didn't say those words, but he was basically insinuating that some of the things that she did was on her own volition. Some of the things he did was on his own volition. Don't make it seem like I made you do anything. We both had our part to play. And she did agree to that, okay? She still looks kind of sad. It looks like she's still sad at the demise of their relationship, but anyways, she's not with anybody. He is with somebody. He is dating a lady named Alice. She was also in the pods. They show us footage of them in the pods. They say that the reason why things didn't progress is because they friend zone each other quite quickly. That makes sense. They do look very friendly in the pods. Alice is funny too. I can see why they connected. They said what's next for them is moving in together because they have been together now for 9 months. And eventually he would like to start planning a family. She didn't say yes or no to that. It just looked like she was smiling in agreement. So yeah, I'm actually happy for him. Jonathan looks very happy. Next was Alex and Chloe. Guys, I was so ready to give this man props because I did not like the way that he was yo-yoing Chloe in the process. And I was like, you know what? As skeptical as he was able to get married. And clearly he's the type who wants to get married once and have that be forever. No. They are still married legally, but they are separated. I don't know if the separation is legal, but they are separated. Essentially what happened was the doubts that he had before the wedding are still the doubts that he had after the wedding. He still was not sure about this marriage, and I guess he stuck it out because he thought, you know, maybe feelings will develop as time goes on, which is crazy because why say yes to somebody if you are not sure? He's asked why he says yes, and he says that, look at her, she's so beautiful. She's just so beautiful. Don't you see? I thought maybe things would grow. Wild. She still has feelings for him and they do stay in touch, but they do both agree that he has issues that he needs to resolve before he can commit to anybody. Last is Vanmee and Sabrina. They are still not together. Thank God. He's asked why he said no at the altar, and basically all the doubts that he had, which is what Alex should have done. All the doubts that he had were too big to say yes at the altar. He did not have faith that things would grow after the fact. He did still want them to date to give themselves more time, but those doubts were still there. Honestly, they didn't even make it like a week. They didn't even make it a few days after the wedding. Basically, she says she respects his decision. She would have said yes, but she does respect his decision. She said that she took time to look at the relationship objectively, and she does agree that he made the best decision for the both of them. She says that there's no one to blame regarding the demise of their relationship because at the end of the day, it's not his fault that he's reserved, and it's not her fault that she needs somebody who is more dominant, basically. I think that they skipped over the fact that she's a bit of a smotherer, but that's okay. She says even though things ended, they did have a beautiful journey together. They say that they wanted to try but realized that the spark was gone. So whatever was, keeping them together during the process, that like magical fairy tale feeling, it was no longer there after he said no at the altar. He is single and she is seeing somebody. She doesn't want to put a label on it, but he is happy for her. She says that she has learned to manage her emotions better. And he says that he has learned to come out of his shell a bit more. Now, I am deciding to inject a little bit of love in here because clearly ain't nothing going on over there in France. And I'm saying this at the end because I hope that a lot of people who aren't even really keen to see the full length of my videos are gone by now. Your girl's getting married. Listen, Love is Blind France ain't got no marriages, but I will give y'all a marriage, okay? I'm getting traditionally married in, how many weeks will it be now? If this is the first week of October, let's say like 8 weeks. So in 8 weeks, your girl will add it to the list of people who are married because Francine did it for us, child. Well, I guess you could count Alex and Chloe because they're still married technically. But yeah, I've been holding on to this information for like 2 months now and it's been so hard for me. But yeah, I had to let it out and I'm going to let it out here. I feel like this is very fitting. But anyways, that's all for me. As always, like, comment, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next one.